Welcome to episode 59 of the Earful podcast with me, Matty Ashton, and my co-host, Matt Lunn. On this episode, we have Katy Jackson of Tigress.
Yes, and it is so good. We have quite a chunky conversation here, don't we?
We do.
We go into discussing all about the debut brand new album. Yeah, we'll go with
That's
that.
a new thing.
So we talk about the debut album, Pure VIDA, which is out now. At the point that we talked to him, it was on the week of the release. So just bear that in mind whilst you're going through the podcast. We also talk about the making of the album in Scotland and the incredible stories that they've got from staying authentic as a musician and the stories of disconnecting from social media. We talk about pet peeves and we talk about her favourite scary movie. And not just that, we also discuss how her recovery of her wrist is going, which I've decided to join in on.
You have?
Just for the crack of it.
Literally. Like cracks, done it, when you move it and shit. Bad joke, okay. Don't forget to check us out on socials and also check out Tigress as well while you're at it. But otherwise than that, in the words of Matt Lunn, go check the episode out and enjoy it.
Enjoy!
All right then. So, first of all, welcome to an Earful podcast.
Thank you.
Katie, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Now, I think we should just get the elephant out of the room first and ask you how the wrists are doing.
Yeah, really good. Basically, today, I went to the hospital because I had to have some more x-rays and I was praying, not sure who to because I'm an atheist, but I was praying that I wouldn't need a second surgery, and they were like, you don't need one. I'm so happy right now because the whole process has been really, really difficult, and yes, I'm so happy to have an end in sight because it has been so annoying because we were supposed to play shows and stuff, and I was supposed to be playing guitar, and obviously when you have two broken wrists, how the hell do you even do that? So and also I was having issues initially with my nose because my nose is broken as well, and I was having issues with that and singing because every time I smiled, my nose really hurt. And obviously when you sing, you have to move your mouth. So I was a bit so I haven't sung for quite a while. So yeah, the guys have been really good, even though they've been desperate to play shows because obviously we had the pandemic, and then they were now we have to cancel shows. So it was really, really annoying, but thankfully I'm now on the mend. So yeah, we can make plans for the next few months.
So what's the recovery time look like on two broken wrists?
I did this on the 17th of July, and I've got 4 more weeks left.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I bet you can't wait to get back to it though.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy, and today was so gross because obviously so everyone in the waiting room, right, they all have one cast on, right, and then I'm there with 2, and every time I've been there, and I've been to this fracture clinic a lot of times now, every time I look around, everyone's just got 1, and I was like, what the hell, why do I have 2? And then every doctor, every nurse has been wow, okay, we never see, it's called bilateral. They were we never see bilateral injuries, they're really rare and stuff. One doctor was I haven't seen a double scaphoid in 10 years. I was okay, do I win a prize?
Yeah.
And they've all just been everyone's just been asking how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do the other? And I'm I don't. I literally don't. So this is why I'm just so glad that I don't need another surgery, because if I did, then that would have prolonged the whole process again. But I don't. So now it's just a case of 4 weeks. Then she's free.
Freedom.
You don't realise how much you probably take it for granted because like I'm trying to imagine trying to get to sleep with two like casts on as well.
Yeah, so basically I've been sleeping on my sofa, which is what I'm sitting on right now. And I've been like propping up each arm. And the reason why I've been sleeping on the sofa is because like you're less likely to like knock all the cushions off and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've just been like on the sofa since July the 17th. And yeah, with piles of cushions, and then I have one on my belly so that I rest my hands on it. So I have my elbows on the cushions and then my hands on the one on my belly, and then I just don't move. Basically.
Wow.
Oh my god. I'm a fidget when I sleep as well, so that just sounds like
Jesus, yeah, I feel
I know.
worst thing ever.
Well, I normally sleep on my front.
Yeah,
So this has just been like really annoying because I just really wanted to, so many times I'm like, I just want to lay on my side. But yeah, it's just not to be yet, but it's fine. Now I know the end is in sight. It's all good. And I just really want to pick up my guitar and play because I specifically learned guitar during the pandemic.
right.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't play before, but it's something that like I'd always wanted to do, but I just didn't get around to doing. And because the pandemic just ended everything, didn't it? So I was like, oh, let's actually learn. And then I did so well. I was literally playing every day. Like, I was really going for it. And then, like, the guys were all, like, really, really proud of me. They were like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe, like, you've managed to do all this. Like, this is so cool and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, you have to play in the set and stuff and all these parts. And I was like, cool. And I've been, like, learning them all. And then, this is obviously thrown a spanner in the works. And I'm just like, I said to them, I was like, please tell me I'm still going to like remember everything and my fingers will remember what to do. You know what I mean? And they were like, it's fine. Your fingers never forget. They were like, your brain will forget what chords you're meant to play, but your fingers will remember. So I'm told. But
It's
muscle memory in it,
yeah, well, it better be, because otherwise I'm throwing the biggest tantrum you've ever seen.
Well, taking it from me being a guitarist and Matty being a bassist, like, it's just muscle memory. Like, you might get a bit sloppy if you don't play for a while, because that's mainly me, but like, you do remember.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I'm just really hoping that I'm as driven as I was, because I was playing it every day. And I was literally loving it. And, you know, just when you stop doing something, you just think, oh, am I going to start it again? But I'm literally like, my guitar is in the same room as the sofa. And she's just looking at me like, play me, please. And I just really, I just can't wait. But I'm super sad because, like, my calluses are all, like, coming off my fingers and stuff. And I'm like, oh, man.
Gonna hurt to play again.
Yeah, and I'm like so over being in pain right now.
Feel the pain.
I don't want it.
You need some of the bone juice from Harry Potter.
Ah, I do. Yeah, it's a shame that that's fictional.
It's real to Matty.
Okay.
Wish.
Oh, I love that.
All right. At least on the positive note, then you are on the road to recovery.
Yes.
So we might as well talk about your debut album that's coming out at the beginning of September.
Yes. I cannot wait. It's been such a lifeline for all of us, actually. Like, I mean, just with the pandemic, because we actually recorded it we recorded it the whole month of Feb, or like or was it some of January, some of Feb 2020. And then we got back from the studio, did a photo shoot, and then everyone went on lockdown. So it's been like a massive lifeline, because it's actually given us something to like do and to really look forward to. So I feel like the debut album was going to be special anyway, but it's even more special now because it's just meant, like, it literally just saved our sanity for the whole pandemic. Yeah. So it's been awesome.
I mean, it's like something to strive towards. When was the actual writing process starting for an album? Because, like, for me, like, starting like your debut album as a band must be like so daunting.
Yeah, well, we did 3 EPs just to like figure out what we sounded like as a band and just what our sound was, and then we wrote a song called Hangman, which is off of like our second EP, and I was like, I feel like this is like our sound, and then we just developed it like the sound from that song really, and then we just started writing straight away from the third EP. So we've been writing for like about 3 years. Yeah, and it's obviously like you don't write solidly for 3 years. Like
No.
you have like massive like spans of time where you do absolutely nothing. And even like when we went to the studio, like the songs weren't 100% finished. The studio that we went to is called Black Bay Studios, and it's on the Isle of Lewis, which is near Stornoway.
Right.
So it's like an island off of Scotland.
Okay.
Right, nice.
So yeah, the guys all got like a van there and then a ferry, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So I like, because the thing is with me is that like I know I've done this studio process so many times, right? They spend so long fiddling around with drums and it's so boring for me to watch. So no offense to my lovely drummer Josh, but it is boring as a vocalist, right? So I was like, yeah, I'll come down on week 2 when you've done drums.
Yeah.
And then so I just got on 2 flights, but you have to get like a little like propeller plane across.
Oh, amazing.
Oh,
I know, and it was
nice.
so fun.
Arriving in style.
Yeah, but when you arrive, like you just see this view from the plane, and it's like you are you're on another planet. It is just so remote. There's like one shop or something there. Everyone knows everyone. Like you don't lock doors. It's so funny. Like apparently the postman gets really annoyed if you lock your front door, because they like to just be able to let themselves in and just put your post like on your table for you. And if you leave your door locked, they're kind of like, do you not trust me, kind of thing. It is so mental. Yeah, this island is mental.
It'd be nice to live like that, be able to actually trust people and have that sort of like community.
You can't get away with anything.
Yeah.
Could you imagine doing that in Wigan? Like,
I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
But like, because it's so remote, and like the scenery was beautiful. So it's called Black Bay Studios because the studio is in a bay. So you've got this like beautiful bay, and you've got the ocean, and there's like loads of seals all like bobbing around.
That's sick.
Yeah. And the whole like side of the studio is like glass. So you just look out, and the weather's insane. So you're watching all this crazy weather, and this like just like you just feel like you're really out in it. And then like, you know, the actually like finishing writing the album was really easy because it was just so remote that it was super inspiring, because there was loads of bits that we just didn't really know what to do with. So we just thought like it's hard, like when you're a songwriter you just keep putting things off. Like if you don't know what to do with it, you're just like, let's just ignore that, because I don't know, you just
move on to the next thing.
You just like hope that one day you're going to fit that little puzzle piece in. And yeah, like I just couldn't make any, like there was like a few sections that I just couldn't make work until I got to the island. And then we just all like sitting, like looking at the view with like acoustic guitars and stuff and just chilling. And then I was like, oh, I know what to write here now. And then it was just so cool. So even though like, yeah, it took like 3 years, I mean, yeah, some of it just got done like literally half an hour before it was recorded.
Yeah, I think in terms of writing, there's something which needs to be kind of pointed out in terms of like writing. Like it's quite nice, no pun intended, to disconnect from everything else.
Hey, look, pun intended. That's why that song exists.
Yeah. Like a new practice, like me and Matty started writing for a new like band at the moment. But I've started like putting my phone in airplane mode.
Yeah.
So then it's like there's no distraction. There's nothing to kind of go, oh, I've played a chord. Let me just check what's happening on my phone.
Yeah.
And just roll.
So like funny thing actually, like because of, not to bang on about my injuries, which I'm not, because of these and like needing to like sleep loads more and like actually chill out, because like just trying not to stress about anything, like I've done that whole thing where like you set your phone to like only like go like people can only ring you within like certain times, and like you can only receive messages within certain times and stuff. And oh my gosh, I have been like so much happier and like so much like clearer from doing that, because otherwise like you're trying to write something and then you just see like a text message from someone, that's it, you're out of the zone. So like it's been so good, even though like, you know, there's some stuff that I think I should have actually got that and replied to it, but you know, it's never been the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know. You think like I have to do it straight away, but I'm learning like just to let things go a lot more, which has been like so helpful for creativity and stuff.
I didn't even know that was a thing. You could do that.
I didn't.
No?
No, the guys did it to my phone. They were just like, oh, because people kept like just get notifications and like just phone calls and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, it's like way too much. And they were just like, oh, let me just set this up for you. And then it's so chill now. I love it.
Have you noticed, like, when on your phone, if you leave apps alone, like, for example, Instagram, you start getting notifications about things like other people have posted? It's
it's like so
don't pull me into that shit.
Exactly. But this is the thing. Like, and literally, I love that you were like, about the pun thing. But that is what disconnect is about. Like, that's why that song came about. Because it's just, I mean, well, it originally came about because a lot of the inspiration for that album came from like this trip that I took, like when was it, like 2016, 2017, right. I don't know, when I went to Costa Rica, and I was just like, okay, my phone is on, but only for like taking pictures of things that I want to take pictures of. Right. Other than that, like, do not disturb. And it was so cool because previous to that, I was like completely addicted to social media. Like, I was like so addicted to the statistics. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was just like, have to post this picture and have to get this amount of likes at least, or like just trying to figure out like what people wanted to see, like, oh, if I post this selfie I'll get this amount of likes. And then it was just kind of like, wow, like this is so lame. Like,
it really is when you think about it. Yeah.
I was just like, man, like this is just like, I understand that for a lot of people it is really important, but I just came to this realization that for my life it is that there is so much more that I should be concerned with and should be putting my energy into. And, you know, statistics, it's never been my strong point. Why do I care about that? So like the whole disconnect thing, like that came from that, but we managed to finish that song when we were, in the studio. So it was funny because it kind of started at that point, but because then I came back home and obviously like reconnected, but never as much as I used to, like nowhere near as much. Like I can go months and months without posting and I don't even care. You know, like before I'd be like, right, I have to post like every day, people need to know I'm alive. And now I'm like all the important people in my life know I'm alive because I speak to them every day. So you know, like, who even cares what outfit I'm wearing? Like, do you know what I mean?
So have you not felt like with like your injuries, have you not like seen yourself falling back into it? And then has it just been like,
no, not
Netflix
at all.
binges or anything like that?
I have been literally so off my phone. Like the only, like, because I haven't even been like chatting to my family loads on the phone because I've just been going to see everyone.
Yeah.
I've just been hanging out. Like I've just been actually like interacting in the human realm. And it's just been so good for everything. It's been awesome. So yeah, like my phone, I just haven't really cared. Like all I've done is like a few like updates and stuff on like injuries and whatever, just because I thought like, you know, there's like loads of my mates and stuff that to like, I don't know, you just don't want to say the same thing like 800 times. So I was like, okay, I'll just put it on socials and that's cool. And then like people left like loads of comments and stuff, and normally I'd be like, reply. I haven't replied to any of them. It's just, like, you don't need to.
No. They should know that it's like you appreciate like, the kind words, and that should be it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and it's just like the amount of time and effort that you put into social media just felt like it wasn't rewarding enough for the effort that I was putting into it.
Yeah.
Like, and because even if you get loads of likes, it's still not rewarding enough. Because what do you actually get from it?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, what do you achieve? You go, that's
like,
cool. I got some attention. Now what?
Yeah, it's like you're waiting for the next thing. It's like waiting for your next fix on like social media, and waiting to post something else, and you're trying to beat that amount of likes you've got, and it's like a competition constantly. And
I know, with
yourself, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Like no, like and at the end of the day, like what can I say? I genuinely like achieved. I achieved nothing. Like I literally achieved nothing. Whereas I know that, you know, like if I say, cool, I want to learn to play guitar. I sat down and I learned to play guitar. That is awesome because I've achieved something.
Yeah.
And I've achieved something that I can be like so happy with, and that makes me feel so good. And now I can use like just going forward. Whereas like, you know, just taking multiple selfies, like all I'm doing is just watching myself age terribly on social media. Like, I'm like, just whatever.
Well, when you think of it this way, like when you're like 80 years old, you're not going to remember that time when you got 90 likes on a photo on Instagram.
Exactly.
Compared to when you learned guitar and that followed you for the rest of your life. So, yeah.
So I heard this hilarious thing the other day on a podcast where they were like trying to do this. Can you imagine like in 100 years' time when people look back in the family tree and stuff like that, and they'd be like, "Oh, I had this person and he was verified on Instagram. Oh, what does that mean to get paid extra?" And he was like, "No, it's just a blue." Oh, do you get access to places? No, it's just literally ones and zeros on an app that will mean nothing probably in 50 years' time.
It's just so like I don't know. I feel like social media was great, and then it got really toxic, and now I'm like just over it. I'm just that was my mum ringing me. She's like, hey, she's like, wants to know how my appointment was, but that's fine. Yeah, like it is. I just feel it is just completely toxic. But like, I mean, I know that like some people like love it.
Why though? Like.
I don't know.
People are entitled to their opinions, but the way I think of it is, I found it so worrying that people, like, I'm guilty of this as well, where you have to be really strict with what you post on your social media. Why can't you just post that you've had a nice walk with your dog? But it's no, it must be a certain criteria to fit the algorithm. Why? No one fucking cares.
Now everyone's like having like professional photo shoots for like it's like you can't like got like long gone in the MySpace days when you could just hold up a phone, get a really nice angle that obviously doesn't include your double chin, and then just post it. Like now it's like must have like a £500 photo shoot to be worth it. Like I don't know, just to be worth anything, just for you guys to see me. And it's like, oh man.
Like the biggest thing that you used to have to consider was what song you wanted on your MySpace page.
Yes, I love that. But this is the thing. So like the people who are obsessed with social media now and like TikTok and stuff, they don't even know like what MySpace was. Like, do you know what I mean?
No.
They don't even appreciate any of that cool stuff that, you know, I appreciated. I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I've just had like a new background all designed, like. And it's so cool, and I've just upgraded. Like I've just like, what did I do? I'd like put like a new song on my profile or whatever.
Yeah, and you'd have a list of the bands that you'd like to video profile, so people knew what you were into straight away.
Absolutely, and it was so good. But yeah, that was the highlight. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, you can't do that anymore.
It used to be like when you like really crappy Nokia, which was ace at that time. It was like so pixelated. It's like
I loved it.
If you find a picture from back like 2008 and then you see the actual file size, it's like so small.
So small, so small. Yeah, you're like, wait,
like,
you can't blow this up. No.
Yeah, it's because we had the tail end of like going into this social media phase. Like we sort of caught it just before it happened. Like you said, when it was on our old Nokia phones, and then we sort of followed in with it. Do you know what I mean? Which is crazy because I'm quite happy about that we got to see the sort of back end of what it used to be like before.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, before it got really serious.
Yeah,
the good old days.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, so bringing it back to the album, right? So there's a song on there called Generation. I don't know. Have you guys heard the album?
Yes, we have.
Yes, so good.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you like it. So yeah, there's a The first song is called Generation, and it's literally like about like this kind of stuff that we're talking about, like how like weird and like just difficult and odd it is, like being in your 30s and like just being like my generation, like the generation that grew up with social media but are just confused about it now. Like you
100%.
don't really know what to do with it now. Like and it's funny because we're literally just talking about stuff that was really like in like the forefront of like the conversations that were being had whilst that song was being written.
So this might be a black hole of a question.
Go on.
Do you think like in terms of social etiquette now, in terms of like a musician has to like be a songwriter, has to be a content creator, has to have all of these heads at the same time? Do you think it's had like a detrimental effect on like creativity for like modern musicians?
100%. Like I think what you're getting now is people writing really like surface level songs because they don't have time to delve into like who they really are, or who they are like within themselves, but also as musicians and songwriters, because you're given so many jobs to do now. And if I'm honest with you, like all those kind of the other sides of it like completely suck the fun out of it. They make it really serious, and like you said, like it's all about like ones and zeros and statistics and stuff. And since when is like rock and roll about that, you know? Like it's, do you know what I mean? So I think like songwriting has taken a massive hit, and you can hear that like when you listen to like mainstream radio, like everything sounds like it was made by a computer, unless it's like an authentic rock band. And when I hear one of those on the radio, they stand out.
You get excited about it, don't you? When you play, like, oh my god,
Yes, like for example, like we were played, like Radio 1 have been really good. They've supported us like quite a lot this campaign, which has been really good. And I was listening to the radio and they played like Wolf Alice, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so nice to hear a band like Wolf Alice. And then they played us straight after.
Nice.
I was like, sick. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And I was like, oh my God, it's like, I feel so bad saying real music, but I genuinely feel like if it doesn't have instruments in, like it's just really synthetic. Like I know there's like massive like dance tunes, like, but I don't know, like it's hard to get emotion out of a computer, and it's so easy to get emotion out of a human. So that's why I say real music, not to like to diss like other genres and stuff, just because I feel like it's real because it's human. And then but when you hear it, you can tell it's human, and you instantly go, oh my God, this is so good. and then they followed it up with us, and I was like, this is sick. And then it's like followed up with loads of like
It's crazy because there's different types of consumers, I think, with music. There's those that like sort of listen to the radio and enjoy the sort of background music, say whatever Radio 1's playing, like fucking like some shit like Nicki Minaj. Apologies if you like Nicki Minaj, but I can't stand it. But anyway, do you know what I mean? Just something like that, but it's playing in the background. Something that people, it's like easy on the ears, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Is it though? Have you ever heard Nicki Minaj like really talk?
Exactly. I don't get it, but apparently people like it. So yeah.
Oh my God. She talks about. I can't say it.
Yeah, well, it's like.
I mean, you can. We swear on this anyway.
It's like that WAP song as well. Like what?
Yeah. Oh my God.
With that, man. It's funny, but like, there's no soul to it. You know what I mean?
It's funny. That's the thing. But also, like, for me, as like a feminist, as most guys are, right? Most people are feminists these days, right? I'm like, why are you going to play a song like that on the radio?
It's the equivalent of if it was acceptable to put Steel Panther on daytime, like daytime radio.
Like, this annoys me because why wouldn't they? Like, just put them on there.
Yeah.
Just put them on. Like, at least
so
that,
good.
like that is done like as a joke, but like WAP is like not a joke.
But it's crazy because obviously so many people like consume music that way, and they don't really. I don't feel like they obviously care about the music as much because they're not as into
No,
it.
they
Like I said,
don't.
there's not much soul to it. Whereas like,
It's because it's expendable.
well, yeah, exactly. And again, like fast forward 50 years time, nobody's going to be like, oh my god, do you remember when WAP came out and like.
No.
That affected me so much. Like as a person, you're
You know
like,
what,
it's
though?
never going to happen. That is forgettable.
This is the thing, right? So this all comes down to music being completely expendable and people's attention spans lasting 5 seconds.
Yes.
So people feeling like they have to pump out song after song after song after song, regardless of the quality. Yeah. So this is another reason why, like songwriting has, I don't know, plateaued. Because I kind of feel like, we had like, I mean, I'm so into like 70s, 80s, 90s, like rock and grunge. And I mean, I cannot get enough, like that's where all our influences are. Yeah. Most of them are in the 90s because obviously we were older in the 90s.
You can feel that a lot in the album as well, by the way. I remember Lon saying it's got sort of like Pixies vibes to it, which
well, we just like grew up on like bands like VIDA, and like Ash and like I don't know, and obviously like the classic like Nirvana's and all that kind of type, but like those kind of bands were just so good, and like obviously like Foo Fighters and Green Day and all like the classic like Muse types, like the big bands, but yeah, I don't know, like it's just like that influence but those like eras, like they were just a completely different time. Like music was so well thought out, like the songs are so intelligent, they're so brilliant, like we're massive like Blair fans as well, and like just those songs, they're so smart.
And
like now, like songs are so, they don't even scratch the surface, they're just so shallow, like so many lyrics you can predict them before they've even sung them. And this is why, like when we wrote the album, I was just really like set on making it interesting lyrically and being like trying to be like really honest, but not in a like not in like a poetic way.
Yeah.
Because I'm from Essex, right? We don't do poetry in Essex. And I just thought, do you know what? Like, I'm just going to be like 100% like true to myself. And I wanted to sing things the way I would say them, so that when people heard them, they would instantly go, oh my God, like she is me.
Yeah, you've got to get that connection. And that's what I search for when I listen to music. If I can find something I can connect with, that'll resonate with me. And again, like I'll listen to it over and over. Do you know what I mean? Nothing like that will ever get old.
Yeah, but like I worry now that like who from like 2020, 2021, whatever, who are we gonna look back and go like, oh my God, yeah, like these people are still filling out stadiums and stuff because they've managed to last the test of time. Like I really don't know who that is. And I include myself in that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I just don't know who that is. Like we just don't really have like, I don't know. I feel like people are really scared to step out of a box.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing, because I find it really funny that trends like the 90s and early 2000s is now coming back into another trend. And it's like, well, if you look between the lines, that's when probably there was more thought put into music.
100%. But this is the thing, like so for obviously like for us, like so we're all in our 30s, and like it's the 90s. Like I was like growing up, do you know what I mean? Like I was like it was like I went through like my young years and then become a teenager, do you know what I mean? So it was like it's cool, like it was such an influential time. And so like when we were figuring out what we wanted to do with the album, and when we wrote like Hangman, like on the second EP, I was just like, I love this. And then I realized why I loved it so much, and it's because it sounded like stuff that I listened to when I was growing up. And I was like, okay, we just need to do this, because we decided we were going to stop writing music that pleased other people and just write what we knew and what we loved, and that was the music that we grew up with. So we just thought, instead of trying to chase trends, let's just try and do something we love, regardless of whether it's in fashion, out of fashion, because if it's timeless, right? And 100%. I think the more you chase a trend, the more you're gonna like make yourself sound dated in like 5 years time. So we were like, yeah, screw it, let's just write stuff with guitars and drums and not loads of effects, and let's just like, I mean, like even with the vocals, like when we recorded them, we did them so raw. There's like there's a song on there, it's called Starting Tomorrow. That is a live track.
That's one of my favorites, by the way.
I'm so glad, because that is mine as well. Right. And I'll tell you the story behind that song, because this is why it's my favorite, and it's so special. Because basically, like I wrote those lyrics, okay, because I was just like, no, just in one of those moods where I just really wanted to write. And then I just wrote those lyrics, and I was like, these are really cool because they're like super honest and like completely relatable, right? I don't think there's anyone that like can't relate to the lyrics in that song. And then the guys like wrote like it was quite like, I would say like it was a heavy-ish song. And I like tried it over that, like, and I was like, I don't like it. So then what we ended up doing is we were like, okay, let's just scrap this song. Let's forget about it. So then we hooked up with Adrian Bushby, who produced the album, who is an absolute legend. And he, like, we played him like all the demos. He was like, I want to hear everything. He was like, I want to hear the stuff you want on the album, but I also want to hear like everything else. And then like we played him that like in its like heavier form, and he was like I really like the lyrics, and we were like, yeah, we do too, but we were just like, we can't really make like music work. So then anyway, then we just forgot about it, right? So nobody even spoke about it. And then we did that album, we recorded it, and we had some spare time because you know, I'm really quick at recording vocals. Basically, I try and record all our songs like from start to finish. I don't do loads of drop-ins. I just do complete takes of the whole song, and I do it literally about 3 times each song, and then we just that's it. The song is done. Yeah, it's really quick. So basically, like he set aside like so much time. I think I put down 5 songs in one day, and we still like finished at like 5.
Wow. Jesus.
and I was just like, yeah, next. And he's like, this is so sick. But I think, you know, like obviously I've been singing for like a really long time, and I know what I want to sound like. And because I'm a vocal coach and stuff, like I'm hot on my techniques. Like I know how to put down like a vocal take, right? So I was just like, cool, let's just bash them out. And I wanted them to be authentic. I didn't want them to be like mega polished, because I wanted it to feel real, right? Because I was so sick of hearing like these crazy polished things, right? On the radio. And I was like, let's do something that's real, okay? That's relatable, that's real. So yeah, it was just all takes, like top to bottom.
Well, that's like they used to do it. Yeah, like people doing it on tape machines. Like you couldn't go back and re-edit. Well, I mean, you could in a way, but you couldn't go back and actually re-edit the vocals. It was like that tape that you did. That was what was in there.
Well, exactly, right? Yeah. So we ended up with all this spare time, and Adrian was like, well, do you want to record something else? He was like, I love the lyrics to that song. And I was like, yeah, I love it too, but we haven't written it. And he was like, well, why don't you and Sean just go in the live room? We'll just give Sean a guitar and you guys just play it and sing it and just see what comes out. Because I already knew what my melody was, like roughly. There was like a bunch of things that I didn't know. Like we didn't know the structure. Like we didn't know what either one was really going to do. Right. And Adrian was just like, okay, let's use this microphone, but we're just going to use one microphone so that it's just live, right? So it's just Sean's guitar is bleeding into your vocals and your vocals are bleeding into his guitar. There is going to be 0 editing, 0, sick. None. He was like, if it's out of tune, it's out of tune. If you make a mistake on the guitar, you make a mistake on the guitar. Cool. So he just pressed record. And what you hear on the album is the first time me and Sean ever played it together.
Nice. Amazing.
So
Wow.
that's it. That's the only time we actually sat down and played that song, and we'd never done it like that before. We did that, and he pressed stop, and he was like, "What the hell was that?" He was like, "That was so cool," and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I was so in that it was like literally mental. Like you can literally like hear my voice like shaking where I'm like super emotional, and you can hear like all these imperfections. You can hear like where my tuning goes out. You can hear everything. Like you can hear all the squeaks. You can hear us like swallowing and I just randomly just at the end of the song just did this big like sigh, and I was like, I don't know why I did that, but it's so sick.
Yeah. It's stuff like that what people feed off. Like you said, it's the raw emotion, and you'll appreciate that yourself a lot more as well. And the people, you know what I mean? Like it's like no bullshit in it. People will just, you know what I mean? They can hear that like genuine like thing in your voice. And I think Jeff Buckley used them sort of techniques as well. You can hear him just do a lot of live takes and like and like Nirvana as well. Like going back to them, like listen to Nirvana's music. Kurt's vocals aren't always on point. Like when you listen to it, and the guitars always sound out of tune. But
oh god,
love it.
It's so good. It's so good because you go, oh my gosh, I can do that.
Yeah, and you don't just listen to it like analyzing the music itself. You listen to it for what the song gives you and the lyrics and just everything with it. So
100%, 100%. Like, and I literally like I loved that moment so much. And it was so funny because Adrian was like, should we just try it again? And then we did it one more time, and he was like, no. He was like, no. He was like, delete, don't worry about it, you did it, it was fun.
Good job. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, he was like, and then we listened back to it, and I was like, I literally love it. And it was so weird because like me and Sean were just like looking at each other because obviously like we didn't really know what the structure was going to be and stuff. And then but obviously because we've been like playing together for so many years, like you don't even need to say anything. You just play, right? And like you just feed off each other. And I was like, wow, this is so special because I felt like it was 100 million miles away from what any band or artist is doing right now. I was like, they never put out a live track on an album. Like it's always so produced, and I was like, this is insane. And I was like, just don't tune it, don't do anything.
I think that's one of the things with the album when listening through. I was, and the nicest ways. I was really surprised by the variation and dynamic, like all the way through. Because typically these days, everything's like everything has to be in your face all the time. So when there was like nice sentimental like dynamics, and you have like that song there's all the ambience. It feels raw. Like my overall observation of the album is that it's a raw throughout, whether it's lyrically or instrumental, but it's still really varied in dynamics, which is so rare these days.
I know, right? Like for example, there's like some cool moments where like when we did Feel It, so when Sean recorded like this guitar part over the top, this was on the demo, he like did this thing where he was like, he just like stopped and he played it wrong and whatever, and then he just come back in. And he was like, that's kind of cool because he just like makes a mistake, but it was like a cool mistake, and it's like really funny because it's like it sounds really awkward. And Adrian was like, okay, we are taking that from the demo and putting it on the album. And I was like, this is what I love so much, because like, like, okay, we could produce a really like slick album, whatever, but what's fun about that? Like everyone is doing that. How does that make us any different to anyone else? Like we're just then in competition with these bands that can spend like thousands and thousands and thousands on their recordings, and we will never get it to sound as good as theirs because they've got the budget for it, right? We were like, well, you know, like our record label were really great with us, and they gave us like everything we asked for, which is amazing of them, especially like at the moment. And we were just like, you know, let's go down this route because it's more authentic, it's more interesting, it's more to talk about. And I don't know, it just felt right. It just felt like the whole album just lent itself to that.
Yeah.
But it was just cool because we were like, yeah, let's just leave that bit in. That sounds sick. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that note, like my voice is like breaking and it's awesome. I love it. And yeah, I love those moments.
It's like that feeling you get when you're practicing through a song, like when we've had it, Matt, when we've been writing stuff in the practice room, and then you all play through it all together, and it's just that in the moment like feeling when you're first playing that song together. You're looking at each other, and you're all literally buzzing off each other.
Yes,
and yeah, so I love that feeling, and it's awesome.
Give me shivers thinking about that.
Yeah,
that's cute. It's so good though, isn't it? Like, but that's what I mean. The just the human element of it. Like, it's just too robotic. Like, you can't connect with it. You just can't. And I just felt like that's why, like, whenever I was like looking for inspiration, or whenever I'm like, I just need to pick me up or whatever, I was like, I always go to music that's from 70s, 80s, 90s. And I was like, why do I keep going to this? And then it's like, you know, like you're listening to songs and you're like, because I can hear the guitar squeaking. Yeah, I can hear the breathing. I can hear that this hasn't been auto-tuned within an inch of its life. Like, I can hear that that's a real person playing a real instrument, and it's making me feel good.
100%.
Well, like at the minute, I'm on a deep dive of like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, so I'm going through the whole '90s grunge phase. Right. So there's so much of like a different. You actually feel energy in like the guitar tracks, and like everything has a quirk to it. There's not like if you take like Alice in Chains nutshell, like it doesn't sound like an unplugged, mic'd up acoustic. It sounds like a plugged in electroacoustic, which has some sort of like chorus on it. It's like you wouldn't get that now.
No, exactly. And I don't know, I just feel like everyone's trying to be really cool and stuff.
I was going to mention the piano in What the Hell is like very like Elton Johnny.
Yeah, 100%.
As soon as it came in, I was like,
I know, it's awesome, isn't it? Like, yeah, I love that. And like, there's lots of like nods to like various like inspirations and stuff. In the album, but that's in What the Hell. I love that song as well.
I'd say it works well as an end song. Joe, when you listen through to like an entire body of work, which is rare for people these days, listen to a full fucking album.
Oh my god, I know.
Like when you get to the last song, it always has that feel of that it actually is the final song on the album. Like it's the end of the chapter, it's the end of that section. End it with a good song, because it's like some
we resolved it as well. We resolved the piano.
Like exactly, and it's right when you get loads of releases now where there's just a random song at the end, and it's like, oh, is that it? Like,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
it completely throws you off.
Yeah, it does, because you want it to feel like a book.
Yeah,
and you want that end, and we like putting the order together was quite hard because we were just like, oh, like what do we want to say with the order and stuff? And then we all knew we wanted to start with Generation and we wanted to end with What the Hell.
Yeah.
And I just think that the in-between stuff was more complicated figuring that out, but it definitely felt like that was a good one to end on. But it was funny because when we were doing the order, we obviously didn't have Starting Tomorrow in our heads because it didn't exist. So then once we did Starting Tomorrow and we heard how raw it was, we were like, oh, well, why don't we like make the album kind of like a vinyl? So we were like, why don't we give that album two sides, but without it being two sides? So then we kind of did like the first half of the album, which is like heavier, and then it's not heavy at all, but you know what I mean. And then we were like, oh, and then we can have like the whole like turning over a tape, or like you're turning the vinyl over to the other side, because obviously tapes 90s and it, and then it was like now it's like the more chilled side with like New Friends and all that kind of stuff on. But New Friends is a funny song as well.
I find that so like it, just in terms of the theme, you wouldn't get that now. Like with other like other lyrics being written by other bands, there's nothing that brutally honest about it.
Right, exactly right. So it was so funny because basically, how like everyone has like a WhatsApp group and whatever. So like all like like old friends or whatever. So it's like friends from school or like friends from this and friends from uni or whatever. So like, you know, I've like throughout my life, like I've had like completely incredible friends that are just fiercely loyal and just absolutely perfect. And then you just have like these other people that just like flit in and out and kind of like pose as friends, but actually they don't really like you. Well, they don't get you. And what I found was that like as a musician, and I'm sure you will just both go, oh my god, yes, right, you find that whenever you post anything that's about your band, no one cares, right? All your friends are like, oh god, this girl again, or like this guy again, banging on about their band. They're like they're like, grow up. Like no one cares about your band. So like they don't like any of your posts that are to do with your band, or like they don't share your music videos. They don't care about anything unless you do something really good, what they deem to be good, right? So for example, like when we supported Bring Me the Horizon, people were like, oh my god, that's so good. And I'm like, no, screw you, because you had no interest in anything I did, right? And now you think that I'm doing something good. Because of this one show, you think I'm doing something good. And I was like, no, I'm not down for any of this, right? You're either in it, like, you know, for the whole brutal journey, or you're just not. And yeah, I had this like WhatsApp group, right? And I posted in there and I was like, oh, a new single is going to be on Radio 1. Like, you guys should like listen. Like, it'd be so cool if you listen. Like, you can like text in and like support me and whatever. And this group had like, I don't know, 25 people in it or whatever. And nobody replied, right? Then this girl wrote about like, I don't know, like an hour later, oh my gosh, girls, which wedding dress do you think I should buy? And then they all commented. And I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm leaving this group because like you guys have no interest in what I'm doing, right? And I was like, come on, like this is so cool, right? So then I wrote new friends because I was like, I left that WhatsApp group and I decided I was going to leave those people behind, as well as a bunch of other people that I just thought, you know what, I'd rather have way less friends and just know that I can rely on everyone in my life and that everyone in my life like totally cares, right? And that I also care about them like completely. So I had a friend cull basically, and I wrote new friends, and it was so funny because like that first line, it just came to my head. I was like, God, I need some new friends. These are ones are broken, self-absorbed and narrowing. Bet you they're not listening. I can get away with this. I was like, I can be so brutal about them in this song because they're not gonna friggin' listen to it. Like they're not gonna listen to it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I was like, I'm gonna say what I want. They're never gonna know. They're never gonna know that I said this. They're never going to know that this interview happened. They're never going to know that I'm talking about them because they're not going to listen. They have no interest.
This is like the social media thing all over again, though. Like, say, the toxicity of it. Like, your post, like you're trying to promote your own band on social media, but that'll probably get like 5 likes, for example, and then someone else will post something shit like what they've just had for the dinner or something like that, and everyone, like, people will be commenting on it. The likes is like, what? And what? Like, I'm trying to fucking do something. Yeah.
Who even cares? Like. There's so much more to life. And I don't know, like I genuinely felt like the reason why they decided not to take an interest in my life was not because they weren't interested in my life. I felt like it was definitely because they weren't fulfilling anything that they wish they were fulfilling, and they knew that I was fulfilling it, because I know for a fact, like obviously I grew up with these people, right? I know what their actual loves are, and I know their loves are not what they're doing. So I think it's quite hard for people to watch you like really fight for something that you really love doing, because it's not easy, right? Being in a band is so hard, and you know, like there are so many downs. I wish I could be like, there's so many ups and downs. There's very few ups, there's way more downs, right? And it's so hard to like cling on and just keep going, especially when you're in your 30s, right? Because everyone's like, oh, you should, I don't know, grow up or whatever. I don't know. They feel like you should act a certain way. But the thing is, like, without doing this band, like, I literally don't know who I am, right? If I'm like, can I picture myself not making music? Absolutely not. Like, I don't even know what that looks like, right? So music and making music always has to be a part of my life because it's part of my identity, right? So if I took that away, I would be missing most of who I was. And that's crazy. But I know for a fact that a lot of people that I used to associate with, they didn't try on any of the things that they really wanted to do. And I think just for some people, it's really hard to be happy for other people when you wish you'd made different decisions about your own life. And I'm okay with that. That's fine. But I just don't really want to be around people that aren't happy to support me in my successes as well as my failures.
Yeah, it's definitely an endurance game.
Oh my god!
Band. Like we've been on about this on the past few podcasts where we had like Preston Meek and we've had Def Blooms on, and we've been talking about the exact same thing of where it's like when you're younger, you have this stupid mentality of that everyone's going to be like Paramore and get signed at 16. It'd be like, oh, it's going to be easy. We'll play a gig and then we'll get signed, and then you turn the world, and then the older you get and the more experience you get within the industry,
fucking
it's
sucks.
like, and then it's the whole
hard.
Like me and Matty have just started again because we were like, we need to cut out negativity. We need to actually, if we're going to do it, we're going to be more productive with it rather than kind of sitting and waiting on people who aren't into it as much as we are not willing to push it forward. So we've cut it again, but every time we've done it, it's like the people that with certain venues or booking agents or people who other people, all that's changed every time that you do that. So it's then building it all up again and doing the same things. And another Facebook page.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god, I know. And it's so hard because you're just like, I don't know, that the struggle is way harder each time you do it, like every time you reinvent yourself. And it's difficult because I was talking about this to someone else the other day. Like, I was saying that it's really difficult because unless something is fresh, it's really hard to get the attention of the people that can make or break your career. So like, they don't really want to go near someone that's released like 5 albums when they should. They should, because like it shows like how dedicated these people are, like how much they've developed their sound, like just how invested they are into what they do. But yet, like there's this like massive movement. There has been for so long for just teenagers like singing and playing guitars and stuff, which I know that is like great and whatever, but I definitely feel like there are more people to appeal to than teenagers. Okay, teenagers are flat broke. We should be appealing to the teenagers' parents, right? Because they're the ones with all the expendable money, right? And also, like, I just get so sick of people kind of being like, oh, you shouldn't say like how old you are, or like, oh yeah, maybe you need to like reinvent yourself again. Like, oh yeah, like, oh maybe you should rebrand. Like, why? Like, why? Because it fits like your algorithm, you know what I mean? Like, they're just whatever. Like, I feel like if I'm writing music for people my age, then that's a whole demographic, right? So what's wrong with that?
Oh, see, this is what I saw you cover this on one of your topics on your podcast as well. Was it one of your YouTube videos?
Oh yeah.
For the whole ageism thing. So that's what's quite scary, because like I've had that thought myself, and I know Matt has, where it's like, shit, man, we've been doing this for like 10 years and we're only getting older, and it's like, do people really care anymore? Like, should we be focusing on our like own lives and maybe like getting things together a bit more? But yeah, I guess that's just what we all worry about, and it's one of those things within an industry where, like you said, a lot of it feels like it is fresh, like fresh blood coming through, like just younger people. And don't get me wrong, some of it is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Some of it is great,
but also a lot of it is not written by those people.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, for example, one massive at the minute is Spirit Box. They're in the mid-30s. And it's like, well, there's no difference in the quality of that music in comparison to someone who's in the younger 20s who's had ghostwriters, co-writers, or whatever else like involved in that process.
Yeah, exactly. But also, like, I don't see why it matters, right? Because originally music is for your ears, right?
Exactly.
100%. Yeah.
Well, like, why do you care what I look like? Like, why do you care like how many people follow me? Like, why do you care? Like, Why do you care about any of that? Like,
Yeah.
why does it have to be that shallow? Like,
I know.
you know, like loads of my favorite artists from the like 70s and stuff, like obviously like they got big maybe when they were like in their 30s, but then they carried on, so they're like, you know, 50, 60. I mean, look at freaking Paul McCartney. He's like old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Do you love that? That's a fact. He's like old. And
I love the
absolutely,
little A in that. 'Cause it's like, I can't confirm his age, but I know he's old.
yeah. I know he's old. So like, but like absolutely killing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and always will. You know.
Rolling Stones is still gigging.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just all these people. Like, I mean, I went to see Steven Tyler perform like in an acoustic like Aerosmith / his like own stuff like set, and he was 70. This was like a couple of years ago. Actually, I don't even know. We're in this weird time warp, aren't we? It was a few years ago, but I just remember thinking like, you're such a badass. Like, you are like in your 70s and you sound like that good.
His
and you
vocals are amazing. I've caught him at download and they fucking blew me away. I couldn't believe it. The energy he's got on stage, you won't think he's that age. And
exactly. So like, so why does it even matter? Like, like the fact of the matter is, these people are so good at what they do. So why are you putting all these labels on them? Like, why do they have to be 16? I don't want them to be 16. No. If he was 16, he's going to sound like nowhere near as good. He's not going to be as confident. He doesn't know who he is. Like he's an absolute icon, but he's only that because he's older.
And so they've not had that experience, not had that life experience. They're probably, some of them still singing about the first crush.
Exactly. Boring. Yeah, like so boring. And
my other half was on about this, where she was like, do you not find it really ridiculous when you hear like really young people talking about love and stuff like that?
They've never been in love. Yeah, like honestly, it's so funny. Like, I find that stuff all just hilarious.
Like she was listening to early Taylor Swift. I was like, this actually makes no sense whatsoever.
So do you remember JoJo?
Yes.
Right, so she has like had a comeback, right? Because like her record label like screwed her over for years and years and years.
Right.
And when she first came out, she was 13 years old and she was singing all these like love songs and stuff. And she was talking about it like recently. She was like, I never even kissed a boy. She was like, I'd never kissed anybody, and I was singing about all this grown up stuff. It was like I did not have a clue, and I was like, this is what's wrong. This is literally just what's wrong. Like, why don't you just get somebody who can actually sing about that rather than a 13-year-old girl?
Wow.
Isn't that mad?
Wow. A bit like in terms of like the performance of like the recording and that, there'd probably be a bit more like emotional investment into the vocals 100%. If like they can relate to it.
Poor thing.
Like, can't imagine think about this thing you've never experienced.
Yeah, she must have just felt like such a fraud. It's just so weird.
Yeah. I mean, going back to it, I know I've mentioned this as well before on the podcast, but it's like Hayley Williams. I know, like she made a statement a few years back saying she doesn't really want to perform Misery Business live anymore because she doesn't relate to that as much. So when you listen to it, it is like a high school crush sort of vibe.
Of course it is,
her music's matured so much, and you listen to it now and again, you can relate to it as you were, and you can tell there's more meaning to it. Not like Cursing Off All the Mother Paramore songs because they're fucking great albums, but you can tell like. Obviously, she wasn't as emotionally invested in it anymore. It had nothing to do with her anymore. Do you know what I mean? Fair play to her for wanting to move on, but you can see that maturity in the music.
Yeah, she should be able to leave it behind without any stick. But you know that like the record labels will be like, no,
100%.
You have to end your set on Misery Business, otherwise everyone will want a refund, and that sucks. But
the thing now is because. Now that album, because it's been out for so long, it's now inspired other things like, for example, like the Olivia Rodrigo thing, where it's essentially Misery Business, but with different vocals over it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you've heard Good For You. Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, I have heard that. Yes, I have heard that. Yeah, it's because I hate TikTok, that's why. Yeah.
I'm with you.
I've not got it, so
never downloaded it, never want to.
Yeah. I tried it for like about a week. I was like, this is fun. And then I was like, I'm just talking to myself. Well, I'm not going to use this.
It just seems too much effort.
Oh my God, so much effort. I was like, I gave up after literally a week. And I was like, that's good, because I didn't waste much time on it, so that was cool. But yeah, that is.
Yeah, because things are being. So the point I was getting was that because things are being inspired by that music, there is more music that's accessible now that has been inspired by the same thing, so you could listen to that instead.
Yeah,
and if you're really that bothered about Misery Business, just go on Spotify. It is still
exactly. Exactly. And like it's a shame because like I really love some of her solo songs, and I think they're like super cool, and they're like so like not Paramore, but you know that people will just be like, I don't know, I know that like they just weren't as like hard hitting in the industry, because like I don't know, it feels like everyone wants this like formula. They just want they want a band like Paramore to be in like what 2006, I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? They're like, you must stay in this zone, but it's like, come on, like she was a teenager, like, and now she's like, you know, she's been married and now divorced. Like, come on, she's got so much more to sing about. Like, why don't we just let her sing about it, like, and actually offer up some valid information rather than this high school crap that high school people can sing about, because that's what they're living through.
The timeline is so hectic. There is other things to write about, and obviously that's going to inspire like the later albums.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but people just want you to be stuck in this time warp, don't they? They just want the first thing that you release to be what you release, like over and over again, carbon copies of it for the rest of time. It's like, nah, you've got to evolve because you get older, so you know things change.
Yeah, it's exhausting. I remember there was an interview with Mike Shinoda, like, and they were on about why they always change the sound and like why they're always in trends and all that. But they were like, they write the songs like 3 years before this trend has actually come up, but they were like, you can't stay the same all the time because as musicians you're going to evolve, you're going to have different influences, you're going to listen to a different band that's going to change your songwriting approach and stuff like that. So if you did the same thing all the time, it'd be so boring.
Yeah, so boring. Yeah, so boring. And I remember when Linkin Park like released the last album they released, like obviously before Chester, and like I remember like people weren't receiving it like that well. And it was really funny actually because I did a cover of Heavy, the song that duet song. I did a cover of that, and then Chester retweeted it, and I was like, I was like, my life is made. But you know what the really sad thing about that is, like genuinely like heartbreaking, is that like that wasn't too long like before his death. So actually like if you just scroll down his Twitter a bit, like you just see it right there still, and I'm like, man, I'm like, this is literally heartbreaking, because like, you know, he was like, that whole band, like, you know, they were so influential on so many bands that are out now, and I mean they continue to be completely influential, but it's just so crazy. And I was so glad that I got to go to the show at Brixton like the week before his death, so I got to see Linkin Park in like at Brixton.
So jealous.
Best gig, like honestly. But like it was so good, and it was just insane. Like people were singing so loud and it was so good. Like, oh, it was just next level. It was just the best experience.
See, like, this is the thing, like that sound evolved for them, but you could still see all that, like they were still emotionally invested in the music, because like going back, like going back listening to that album though, especially after Chester passed away, and listening to a song like Heavy, like fuck man, like
exactly, this is what I mean.
It was
like,
going through. It is heavy in itself, and and One More Light as well. That gives me goosebumps every time I listen to it. Wow.
So I know, because we went to see Mike Shinoda after, like maybe it was like a year or a year and a half like after.
Was it when he did his solo?
We saw him at the Roundhouse. Yeah, we saw him at the Roundhouse, and he did that, and he did like In the End and stuff, and it was so, like, the thing that like made it so special was the fact that he was like, look, I know you all want me to talk about Chester, but he was my best friend and I'm not ready to talk about it. He was like, I'm just not ready to talk about it. And he was like, I know that some of you are literally just here because you want me to talk about him. And he's like, but I just can't talk about him. And he was like, but I can sing these 2 songs. And he was like, this is basically all I can give you. And I was like, oh my God, man, this is like so unbelievably, like, just unbelievably sad. But like, I mean, it just showed like how much of an impact that band had on so many people. And because like you grew up with them, right? Then their sound, like you grew up with the sound and the sound changed as you got older. So, you know, it just worked because as their sound changed, like so did your taste in music. So you're like, this is sick. You're growing up with me and I'm loving what you're doing. So it was like, really special.
Well, it's a natural thing. Into the older you get, the more music you're going to listen to. Like if I looked at me in college, for example, like I was like, I'm only going to listen to hard rock and anything else is shit. And then 2 years later, I'm like, oh, I like this pop stuff now. This is good. Like,
I know. That's the thing. Like, you're just trying to be cool, huh?
Yeah, to like hardcore to your genre, and he's like, dude, just expand your music. Just listen to other things. These are good.
I know. These are good. That's the thing. Like, I'm just such a fan of good music. I try not to be too much of a genre snob because, you know, good music's good music, right? And like a good song is a good song, regardless of what the genre is.
Exactly. Like if something's well written, there's no denying it's well written. That's
okay.
If something's bog basic, little drum machine and like minimal MIDI layers on it, and it's like, oh.
Nicki Minaj.
Whap.
Bring it back.
We've gone full circle on that.
No, we're full circle.
Yeah. Like even listening to like I love listening to very old like 70s or 60s like sort of stuff or 50s, but like someone like Otis Redding, like something that's everlasting, like sitting on the dock of the bay, like
doesn't get more classic.
God, no, it doesn't. But like even you know what I mean, you hear it at family dues and everything, but again, people are going to be singing that song at the family dues for the next 50 years. Don't give a shit.
Too right. They better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I think it was like one of my students was like, I went to go see like Stevie Wonder like when he did Hyde Park, and I was like, oh, I'm going to see Stevie Wonder. They were like, who's Stevie Wonder? And I was like, we can't be friends. I was like, we can't be friends. I was like, what do you mean? That's not a sentence anyone says.
Oh no. No. We're not getting to that age. We're not getting to that age though.
Yeah, I was like, but you know, like, this is not like, he's not even like an artist that's from my era, you know, so.
He's fucking timeless, it's fucking Stevie Wonder.
You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So
like, good. Stevie Wonder, Bill Withers, Otis Redding,
this is the thing.
Solid music.
This is the thing, I was like, I saw that show and I was like, okay, I need to go to that. Because I was like, you know, the dude's getting older, right? And he was like, having like kidney transplants and stuff, and I was like, I've got to go. It was so good. It was just so good. Like, it just felt good, you know. And obviously, like, everything on stage is all like instruments, like backing singers. There was no like track being played. It was just really refreshing. And what I loved as well is that like, there's. Oh my gosh! I just realized something that I hate. You know, you.
Keep it for later.
Save it.
Keep it for later.
Right? Oh my gosh! Well, I can't finish that sentence then.
Okay.
Right.
We'll save it for that.
Yeah. There's one musician I've always wanted to watch, and I never got the chance to after he passed away, and that was Tom Petty. And I always
about to fucking say that.
He did the show at Hyde Park, and I was thinking at the time about getting tickets, and I never got them at the time. But I probably was just a bit like broke, and I just couldn't afford it. But I was a bit broke, but I fucking regret that, like, especially with Stevie Nicks came on stage with him as well, and they sang that duet. Like,
Stevie Nicks was supporting, and then it was Tom Petty headlining.
Wow,
I remember thinking,
why did I not go?
I think it's when me and you went to London to watch Guns N' Roses, and we saw the poster for it. That would be amazing. And then we're like, but we can't afford it.
Oh,
fucking gutted.
And then about like, I think it was like 6 months later, it was like Tom Petty passed away. I was like, oh, that's it. I'm done. I'm fucking done.
That's hilarious. I've written down my things that I hate now.
Good. Save it.
Should we get on to our first segment then? So you can get to
go for it.
Right. So, Katie, what is your favourite scary movie?
Ooh, okay. Am I allowed more than one?
Absolutely,
of course.
Okay, cool. Right. So, like I used to watch so many horror movies. Okay, and it depends. Right. So I've got lots of favorites, but they're favorites for different reasons. Okay, so one of my favorites, because it's the worst horror movie I've ever seen, is Hatchet.
Right. Yeah. Right? Hatchet. Yeah.
Because it's so bad, but it's brilliant. I literally I bought it on DVD and then I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing, but it's so good. And I was like, I need to see the sequel. Yeah. So I loved that. I also loved who's ringing me now? Decline. I thought I put my phone on. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Hang on. Let me make this so that people can't. What? Why is this able to ring me? Do not disturb.
Technology, man.
Oh no. Okay, right. Do not disturb is on. Okay. So then the next one that I really like is Blair Witch Project, because I went to see that when I was 13 at the cinema, which was naughty because it was a 15.
Right.
And I could not sleep for weeks. And I didn't tell my mum and dad that I'd gone to see it.
Right.
So I was just absolutely petrified because I was like, it's real. It's real.
Yeah, like that's awesome.
Real, didn't they?
Yeah, it's awesome that you got to see it when it came out, because like as London's going to say, they advertised it as though it was real. So I was going to ask you that. What was your thoughts going in then? Did you generally think that this was like...
I thought it was a real.
Yeah.
So basically, in the house that I grew up in, right? So there's like, we used to have these big trees in the garden. So I'd be laying in my bed and I'd look out my window and I'd see all these trees and I'd be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in the forest. Like, and I just couldn't sleep. I was so scared. But yeah, I couldn't tell my mum and dad because I thought, don't tell them that I've gone to see a scary film. They won't be happy, especially as it's a 15. And I was like, when you're rehearsing your date of birth.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, they are how old I am. But yeah, we got
poker face.
Yeah, and it was just so scary. But also, there's another one that really scares me, which is The Fourth Kind.
Yeah,
right.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
That really scares me because I'm like full on believing aliens, right? Yeah. I'm not one of those like weirdos that like goes around like, trying to prove that aliens exist or anything. Right. I'm just kind of like, there must be aliens, right? Because if we exist, then something else must exist, right? Because the universe is so big, right? But we're not going to talk about that. But
just listen to a Blink 182 album. You're
exactly.
Fine.
Oh my gosh, or just watch that Danny Dyer documentary.
So. Have you heard the most recent Angels and Airwaves song, just very quickly?
No.
So there's a line in it where he says, it's basically in a nutshell, he's going, I fucking told you there's documents about aliens.
Amazing.
Nice.
Because it's like they've proven it recently that there's something in there. So like,
yeah, exactly.
Straight in the lyrical content.
There you go. But this is the thing. And that's why so that movie like really messed me up as well. Because like, I don't know, just because it just felt really real as well. Because you don't really you don't see anything, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's it with Blair Witch. You don't see the witch, do you? Exactly. At all, but it's that feeling of the unknown. I watched Signs for I think it was like the first time I ever watched it.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know why I haven't seen it before, but again, that was one of those films where you're like, holy shit! Like, imagine if the aliens actually came and they were like really like. This is trying to kill us and shit.
Yeah, because this is the thing. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like horror movies and stuff that you're like, yeah, this is scary at the time, but I'm not going to take this home with me because I don't feel like this is ever going to happen and whatever. But some things like alien ones just really get me because I'm like, yeah, but like I feel like this is gonna happen. There's gonna be an alien invasion one day, and it's all gonna go wrong, and I'm just like, yeah.
To be honest, after the past 2 years, would not surprise me.
Exactly.
Whatsoever.
I mean, it's inevitable, isn't
It's
it?
like, right, okay, fine.
To be honest with you, like they'll come down, they'll see most of us on TikTok on their phones, and then they'll be like, nah. Go back to them.
Yeah, these guys are too far gone.
I thought these people were intelligent.
Yeah. Wrong. But yeah, I think those are my favorites. I also love The Grudge just because I like making that noise.
Everyone likes making it.
But you know what? That is actually a really good thing to do as a vocalist.
Really?
Yes. So if you ever like lose your voice and stuff, that's what you want to do, just to try and start bringing it back to life.
Amazing. Please tell me it's called the Grudge technique or something.
No, it's called creaking.
Ah.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. It's almost like a vocal massage, if you like. So there you go.
I think
she's basically a vocalist.
That
makes her like way less scary.
See, now you've understood it.
Exactly. Now I'm like, it's not scary.
So it's like, nah, here's some vocals on. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
I think there's a bit on The Grudge. I'm pretty sure it's The Grudge where that always used to freak me out. And I think like there's like a woman in bed or something, and then all you see, she lifts the covers up, and you see like the fucking woman underneath the covers making that noise just coming towards. And I was like,
yeah. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of that scene in Paranormal Activity where the bed sheets move.
Yeah, if they fly.
I hate that.
Wow.
I hate that. Honestly, because the thing is, my bed is my safe space, right? Like everyone. If you've got those covers over you, nothing can get you. A bed is impenetrable, right?
Exactly.
Like there could be like a whole world war, like they could drop a nuke on you. Doesn't matter because you're under
in your bed.
The bed sheets. Nothing can get you. And then like that movie, I was like, no, don't do that to the bed sheets. Like you can't.
Yeah,
it's like a force field.
It's like a thing. Like obviously, it is a play, and that's the thing when you're growing up in it. Like you always have that safety in like sheets, and even sticking your feet out a little bit after you've watched the movie where there's something.
Oh no, you can't.
You're like, fuck that.
No, you cannot stick your feet out the end.
Because someone's gonna go like.
Yeah, you are mad. Someone will grab them.
Yeah.
Will grab them unless they are under those covers. Then you are safe. Oh, it's so funny. It's so true.
After you watched The Blair Witch, then did you come out thinking, "Holy shit, these people have gone missing"? Like,
yeah, I was like, I just was like, I was like straight home, like on my laptop, like,
researching it all.
Yeah, researching, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so mad. Yeah, because it was, everyone thought it was real for a time.
Yeah.
How would that legally be allowed, though? Like, actually, when you think about it, why would anyone let that be in the cinema?
I know, exactly. Well, I was 13.
I know, but we had the same concept where they were saying, like, Paranormal Activity was real. When it first came out, they were like, oh, this is real footage. And you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah, oh, my God. And then, but you want it to be real, though, don't you? You really want it to be real.
Yeah.
Everyone's like scared of watching it, and it's like the big thing of watching it.
yeah, exactly. Because you're like, oh my God, what if it finds me? Like the whole like Candyman thing.
Those were the best times at the cinema now, is it?
I know. Oh, shit. Oh, you guys are excited. You're gonna go and watch it together.
Maybe.
Obviously, guys, I know Matt's really the other Matt's really excited about it. We usually do that and then do an update and we do a little podcast on it or whatever. So we'll see.
Hang on, we try and do it, but last time it was that like unscripted because we were like, we're gonna do a non-spoiler review. Yeah. If you ever tried doing a non-spoiler review,
that sounds terrible.
Fucking hard, especially after it was. What did we do it on now? It was it not Jigsaw?
No, it was Spiral. Wasn't it?
Spiral, yeah.
Oh, that's just too hard. You can't do that.
And we're like, well, this thing happens, and it's
scary.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard.
That's hilarious. So that didn't work.
No, absolutely not. So we might attempt, but
there's so much horror stuff coming out though in October and towards the end of this year and the beginning of next year. It's insane. So because everything's sort of been pushed back because of COVID, so it's all coming out at once.
Yeah, I know. We're just getting spoiled, aren't we?
But going back to the cinema bit, I used to love those days where you pretended you were 15 when you were 13 and you were basically like McLovin trying to buy alcohol.
Yes. So
you stood at the desk.
That is such a great example. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like that.
Best times that. I remember doing it to go watch Role Models when that first came out.
For God's sake, that's
Yeah.
I can't even remember what other ones. I just remember just rehearsing. So like, and I remember being like, right, if they ask me, I'll just say I am 15.
He's been so confident.
I don't want to be like I'm 16, and they'll be like, well, you're clearly not 16. So
Yeah.
I'll be like, well, I'll say I am 15, and then I'm like, okay, so when was I born? And then you're like, wait, which way do I go up? Do I go up or down?
So you build a complete backstory behind
Yeah, and you're like, well, I was born this day and this year, and yeah, and then I don't know, you're just so scared of what they're gonna say.
Yeah, you're gonna do the birthday badge trick.
Yeah.
So you're missing out on.
You know what though? It's really bad. I went clubbing from the age of 15, to like proper clubs, right? And I always like wore like heels and makeup, and apparently if you wear heels and makeup, these bouncers just think you're 18. Well, they used to anyway. And then and I never got ID'd, not once. And then on my 18th birthday, I was like, oh my God, I can wear what I want now. So I was like, put on the like flats, like I'm blatantly like gonna wear like my Vans or my Converse and like jeans and a t-shirt.
Right.
And they were like, oh, the bouncer, who I knew at this point, because we used to go like about 3 times a week during school and everything. Oh my God, I don't know how I did it. But he like knew us, and he just thought we were like, older. And then he was like, oh, I've got to ID you tonight. Because
wow,
you know, management are being really strict. I was like, that's fine. And then he ID'd me like on the night out that we were going on for my 18th. And he was like, you've just turned 18. And I was just like, I just laughed and was like, yup, bye. And I was like, you can't stop me from going in. This is so funny. And they were so mad because they genuinely felt betrayed. But I was like, come on, I literally looked like a toddler going in there, for God's sake. Like, if you thought I was 18, then you are an idiot. So that was great. I don't know how I got away with that. But yeah, I think it was all the years of practice from trying to go to the cinema underage.
That's where you learnt your ropes.
Yeah, that's where I perfected the art of lying about how old I was.
Exactly. Right then. So you've kept hold to it. So what's your pet peeve?
Okay, right, there's 2.
Okay.
So the first one is live auto-tune.
Right.
Okay.
The second one is Crocs.
No, yeah. Nice. I can agree.
Right.
Nice. Yeah.
We me and my boyfriend, right, we bought a house 3 months ago, and when we were viewing the house, you know, you're like looking like what's behind this door, what's behind that door, and whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we opened up like this cupboard under the stairs, and the woman had like a hangy thing where she like slots her shoes in. She had some Crocs, right? And I took a picture of the Crocs and I sent it to my family. I said, this might be a deal breaker. I said, she's got some Crocs. I'm not sure if I can buy this house anymore.
Poisoned by the Crocs.
Yeah, my cousin was like, don't worry, we can just burn that part of the house down.
So like, I used to have that, but with Ugg boots. I couldn't stand to see someone in the Ugg boots.
Oh, yeah.
They look so like when they get squashy at the bottom when people.
Oh, yeah, get really saggy.
Man.
Yeah. No. I can't do
Not
Crocs.
cool, man.
Oh, also, Uggs were everywhere, especially in Essex. Oh my God, everyone. Luckily I didn't wear Uggs, but I hate Crocs. And my grandma's got a pair, and I'm like, Grandma, can I throw these away? She's like, no, I use them for my gardening. And she tried to make me wear them.
That's always the excuse. That is always the excuse.
I'm like, you can wear anything for gardening. Do you need to wear these? And yeah, she tried to make me wear them the other day because, you know, like I've been struggling putting anything on with my wrists, but especially shoes, right? So I was like, oh, I just wanted to go outside and whatever. She's like, oh, just slip on the Crocs. I was like, I'd rather get a nail in my foot. So I hate Crocs and I hate live auto-tune. But funny story about live auto-tune. I was watching like an award show, and the Jonas Brothers were doing like a performance, right? And they were using live autotune, and the what one is he? Joe.
I thought he was going to say they were wearing Crocs then.
Oh my god!
Time.
Imagine. No, Joe. Yeah, that's the one that married Thingy from Game
I
of
don't
Thrones.
even know who's who with Jonas
Yeah.
Brothers. I get really confused.
I only know because of like who they're married to, because I like
Right.
I really like the women they're married to. So I'm like, oh, you're married to that girl. Rather than like, you know how the girls will be like, oh, it's a boy. I'm like, nah, it's all about the women in their life. But he was like singing that like song or whatever, and
Right.
then autotune was on, but obviously someone had like set the key wrong because it pulled his note up to like the wrong note, and it's fantastic. It's just so good to watch.
Is it as bad as, I don't know which Jonas Brother it is, but there's
The
the
guitar
solo,
incident.
the guitar
Yeah.
solo.
Yeah, so yeah, it's on par. It's on par with that. It's
Wow.
fantastic.
I think there should be a rule of thumb that they just don't play live. They
Yeah.
just they're a studio band.
Yeah, just mime everything, because
Yeah.
honestly, yeah, live autotune. It just annoys me so much because people think that people are really good at singing, and actually, like, it's just autotune, and then it gives people like unrealistic expectations of what live singing actually sounds like. Because the
Yeah.
reality is, we all sing out of tune, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You know, obviously, you don't want to do it regularly because that just means you're a bit rubbish. But like, you know, the odd note here and there, like whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's good because it proves you're not a robot, right? We love that. But yeah, it just makes me laugh that live autotune is used so much by so many people.
As soon as you said both of those things, both Crocs and live autotune, I thought Post Malone, because he's got some signature Crocs and he uses autotune live as well.
Signature Crocs.
Yeah, he's got signature Crocs,
Fuck
signature
off.
Post Malone Crocs, for real.
I knew there was a reason I didn't listen to his music.
It's
I
the
just
fucking
felt it.
Crocs.
Yeah.
I felt the Crocs vibe, and I didn't even know that.
My Croc senses was tingling.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they're just hideous.
Yeah,
They're not
I've got-
even cute. Not even cute on kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, even like a cute little kid can't even pull off a pair of Crocs. I just
It's like a shit sandal, isn't it?
yeah, just get them off your feet. Why are you wearing like a colander on your foot? Like, this is
You could play Connect 4 with it, couldn't you, really?
Yeah, it's
That's
like,
it, yeah.
but like if you could actually play Connect 4, there would be a purpose to wearing a pair of Crocs.
However, there is.
However, you can't, so it's pointless. They're pointless.
Oh. But yeah, going back to the live bits, I remember seeing, I went watching Lana Del Rey, and she's a great singer, don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
she halfway through the set, she pulled out a guitar, like her own sort of signature guitar, and she went, I've not really practiced this, guys, but I'm going to try this for the first time with you. And she started playing it, and it was fucking awful. And she was that bad, she knew it. She stopped playing it halfway through, give it back to a guitar tech, and then you could tell how embarrassed she looked on stage. And I was like, oh man, she hadn't even rehearsed it before. She probably tried it on her turbos or whatever, and she tried it out live. And I thought, oh, do you know, you used to have one of those cringe moments when you see it happen, and you're just like, oh,
That is so bad.
yeah, she should not have done that. Yeah.
Well, this is why I was practicing.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You got to put the practice in. Can't
Trying
expect
not to
it
make a
come
fool of
to
myself. It all just comes back to the whole authentic thing that we've been talking about. That's why I don't like it. I'm like, you're just such a faker. Like, yeah, it's just fake. It's just fake and stupid and shouldn't be allowed. Like, I feel like people should write their own songs or admit that they don't write their own songs.
Yeah.
And they should sing live or just admit that they can't sing live and just don't do it. And just be like, guys, I'm miming.
Yeah.
It's fine. We all know you're doing it. Like, you're not fooling anyone.
Well, it's like,
Although people do like these like live versions now, don't they?
yeah.
Like, where obviously like they'll just record it like in the studio and they add in like the breathing, the out of breath stuff, and they even like mime to their talking as well.
What?
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's fucking
So I watched a YouTube video of this guy who's like a top like choreographer and like and he just literally like sorts out all these like really famous people's shows and stuff, and he's like yeah, so they were talking about like it's specifically like all about miming, and he was like, yeah, you'll be amazed at how like basically how few things are live that you actually think are live that are not live. And he was like, basically, yeah, what they do is they They record it, but they record all this out of breath stuff in there. And they record all the talking to the audience, absolutely everything. And even like they'll put like audience background through the mic, through the recordings that you think it's coming from the mic.
Right.
And just all this stuff. So there's some people whose shows are 100% mine.
That's insane.
I know a lot of rappers do that, and you can tell because they don't even try to be subtle about it. Like a lot, like it happens a lot in rap. But that's it is.
I just think it's so fake. Like I feel like if you're paying, like I mean, it's fine, right? If you're upfront and honest about something, then cool, like that's fine. Because you know, like if I like really wanted to just hear all my favorite artist songs with my favorite artists in the room, and you know, I just wanted the vibe, but they were like, look, I mime everything. I'd be like, all right, cool, like I'm still gonna come and see it because I want to experience it and all the songs and stuff, but at least like it's up front, right? But then I just hate it when they're like pretending, and I'm like, man, this is so fake. Because then you can't give the like the praise to those artists that do sing live when they deserve like all the praise in the world. And it just really annoys me. I just hate it. Like I got given tickets to go see Mariah Carey like do a Christmas concert. It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. Oh my gosh, like literally hilarious. She literally like beckoned over this guy to brush her hair. It was so funny. I couldn't stop laughing. It was honestly, it was like watching a comedy. But I thought, you know what? I would never go and see this, so I literally want to go and see it. And obviously the whole thing's mimed, but the whole thing's mimed terribly. And I'm just like, oh, why'd you even bother? Like, and you might as well just like parade around, just listening to your own songs and going, aren't I wonderful? Like, wasn't my producer wonderful? It's just, I don't know, it's just lame. It's just so lame.
It's like you get them like that, and then you get people like Ozzy Osbourne who do struggle to like sing live now, but he probably has had the option to put some shit like that on backing tracks, but
100%.
he's not done it. He's still trying his best to fucking show it live.
So I love that, but it's real. Like, because I think like why not represent like what it's like being your age in the industry trying to do a show? Like 100%. People want to see that. Like people do want to see that, and there's nothing more powerful than live vocals. It's just so cool, and it just sucks when it's all synthetic and crap, and it just loses all appeal for me. It's fine. Like I know about like all the like dancing and singing types that they have to do it, but rock bands, come on.
I feel like that's what ruined the vibe. Do you remember we went watching 30 Seconds to Mars?
Yeah,
and like it's only two of them left on the stage now, and the rest of the band like underneath. Like you have this middle like stage in the middle of the arena, and it was like the band like underneath the floor.
That's what like at a musical.
Yeah, essentially, and it was just like Jared and his brother, the drummer, and then that was it. And it was like this just seems not what I expected whatsoever.
Yeah, that would suck to be one of those band members, to be shunned.
Can you imagine?
Just like, nah.
I was there. Where was you? Under the floor.
Your family coming to watching you perform with 30 seconds to Mars. I can't see him.
Yeah. Oh no, he's under the floorboards.
It's like, just look up for there. You might see his hair.
Wow. Oh yeah, that sucks. But yeah, those are my two things that I hate.
I think it's a strong pitch.
Definitely.
I think that was a strong two pet peeves. If there's going to be any, it's going to have to be Crocs and shitty live autotune.
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, one's just really a pet peeve, and the other one is
a genuine issue.
It is a genuine. What one are we talking about?
Both.
Yeah.
Both are a problem.
I love it.
But yeah, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Best of luck with the album. It'll give its own look because the album's 6. So
thank you.
There you go.
we hope you end up soon anyway, so you can get back on the road and.
Yes, I know. Thank you. Yeah, I cannot wait to just get rehearsing and playing and getting back to doing what I love.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do a fake goodbye, and and then we'll start from there. So thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Woo! 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 What a good episode. That was episode 59 of an Earful podcast with Katy Jackson from Tigress.
Yeah, and a big thanks to Katy again for jumping on. Also, thank you to Harris as well from Good as Gold. Don't forget to go check out Pure VIDA on all platforms. Go on Spotify, wherever else you stream it, and also buy the album.
Stream
You
the
know,
shit out
stream
of
the shit out of
it.
it. Just fucking buy it, man. Like, you know, people need that shit, especially now since lockdown. But we'll not get too far into that. Pass it on to you.
Yes, now, if you've gotten this far, I'd like to think that you've enjoyed this episode. And if you have, we have 58 other episodes, excluding bonus episodes and Horror Fest, that you can check out, listen to, enjoy, share the crap out of it. And once you're at it, why don't you check us out on all of our social media at an Earful podcast. So that is your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, your YouTube. Go and follow, support us. If you enjoy the episode, let us know. We do like hearing that you're actually enjoying what we are releasing. But until next time, we shall see you then. Did that make sense?